New York Times does a lame, unprofessional hit piece on Dan Bongino, which we've come to expect. And he defends himself in a tweet. But America is safer than it's been before because of Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, who we're also going to get a news article on. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are, because we're now safer. And part of it is because of Dan Bongino and Kash Patel's work. I'll give you an example. Here's Dan Bongino. The New York Times article is precisely why hardworking Americans simply do not trust the media. So this is good to always kick back against these people who are trying to make money lying to you. That's the New York Times. The article is a poorly thought out hit piece which attempts to address the dramatic personnel changes we've made, along with the enterprise-wide reorganization Director Patel and I have undertaken. But the conclusion of the piece is so ridiculous that a child could debunk it. And that's true. Everything in the New York Times can usually be debunked by a child using common sense. The authors comically assert that you are less safe because Kash and I have aggressively reformed the FBI, yet they produce no evidence whatsoever to back up that claim. This is only journalism. Why would they provide any evidence? New York Times is just about trying to embarrass Trump's administration. And the reason they don't produce any evidence is because the numbers tell the opposite story. You know what? Here's one example. I'm going to pump this out real quick. We'll go back to that article. I just want to go to this quick tweet by Benny Johnson. This is Jessica T. Tisch. 0 shootings or murders in New York City on July 4th. 0. The last time in recorded history that happened was never. So this is actual evidence. She actually quoted a number that there's always been a murder on July 4th in New York in our entire country's history. This year was the first one where we were safe. Thank you, Trump administration. Now getting back to that article, now that we've provided a little bit of evidence against the New York Times, better than the New York Times will ever give you as far as evidence goes. Here is just a small snippet of data points proving that the decision Director Patel and I made to refocus manpower towards fighting violent crime and combating terrorism is working. Remember, they're pulling agents off of spying on Catholic pro-lifers, trying to find white supremacists in the military. And they just said, look, we're just going to put them on crime. What happened to just having them investigate old-fashioned crime? Here's the results. Our violent crime initiative, dubbed Summer Heat, and other initiatives around the country have the murder rate trending to be the lowest in U.S. history by a long shot. Summer Heat is coming to a city or town near you soon as we assist your community in removing criminal predators from the streets. Our emphasis on violent crime has led to the arrests of 14,000 violent criminals that were walking around on our streets. This is a 62% increase from the same time period last year. 62% more violent criminals being taken off the streets. We rescued over 100 children from being preyed on, while arresting over 825 violent child predators and 140 human traffickers. Our agents locked up 51 foreign intelligence operatives for spying and smuggling dangerous substances into our country, many of them from China, of course. In conjunction with our federal partners, we apprehended, imprisoned, and deported over 18,000 illegal aliens. Many of these illegal aliens had violent criminal histories. As a result, last month, again, 0 illegals were admitted into our country. The same partners arrested nearly 800 rioters for attempting to stop enforcement operations. We seized 44,000 kilos of cocaine, 3,500 kilos of meth, and 1,200 kilos of fentanyl. In just the last few months, this is a 22% increase from the same time period last year. In addition, we locked up one of the most dangerous gang leaders in the country and dismantled gang operations in nearly every corner of the country, including the largest TDA Tren de Agua gang takedown ever. We locked up 3 of the top 10 most wanted FBI targets, and we're closing in on another. I'd like to think more about some of the incredible work being done by our counterterror teams, but the information, as you would imagine, is classified. But I promise you, it's happening. Let me know in the chat below, do you trust Dan Bongino? I've heard people give him flack, and I think it is totally unwarranted. I think Dan Bongino is an incredibly honest guy, not capable of buying this guy off, not capable of corrupting this guy. Take your conspiracies and go fly them to someone else's channel. There's hundreds of them getting you to believe lies about Dan Bongino. This channel isn't one of them. Finally, we're closing in on the more disclosures and fixing past wrongs of personnel. We're making sure this is done correctly, but it's absolutely getting done. Notice how the New York Times omitted the data points to tell you a story, not the story. And even though it's an opinion piece, they should at least attempt to insert reality into it. God bless America and those who defend her. Let's get to this Kash Patel article really quick. Kash Patel and Ratcliffe try to bolster claims that the FBI and the CIA conspired against Trump. So this is some pushback from NBC News about the FBI that did conspire against Trump under Brennan. So NBC News is coming back and trying to hit back to protect the Democrat Party narrative. The release of formally classified documents this week shows how Trump appointees are using their power to try to prop up his allegations about both agencies. There's Kash Patel, there's Ratcliffe. Here we go. The release of the FBI and CIA documents this week illustrates how President Trump's appointees at both agencies are trying to use levers of government to prop up his long-standing assertions that intelligence agencies conspired against him. The FBI released emails on Tuesday, and we reported on all this. So you guys, if you've watched this show, you've already seen it all. Show the effort by the Bureau's leaders in 2020 to cover up a source's claim that there was a Chinese plot to throw the president election to Joe Biden. In a statement of the Daily Mail, Trump's FBI director, Kash Patel, said the emails reveal the Bureau leaders chose to play politics and withhold key information from the American people. CIA Director John Ratcliffe released an internal agency analysis related to the 2020 election that he argued showed that Democrat appointees manipulated intelligence and silenced career professionals all to get Trump. Patel and Ratcliffe's claims went beyond the information contained in the released documents. The documents do not describe definitive evidence, which is what I'm always looking for. And by the way, sometimes evidence will be subtle. It'll be subtly pushing to favor Biden and then subtly pushing to disfavor Trump. And that's all the tipping you need to get someone like Trump thrown in jail and have them covering up for Chinese spies and throwing elections. The emails do show that at least one FBI official raised the concern that the report conflicted with congressional testimony by then Director Christopher Wray, who said the FBI was not aware of any Chinese attempt to interfere with the presidential election, although Christopher Wray was aware that 20,000 driver's licenses came in through Mexico from China. So that's the main smoking gun of the report, is that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino remain truthful. NBC News, which just simply goes, yeah, but sure, you provided that evidence, but that doesn't prove anything. It never proves the Loctite thing. If it was a Loctite thing, people would be in jail. The scandal would be over. But we still have to deal with why the Russia thing took off under Trump, accusing him of colluding with Russia. And there was never one lick of evidence for it. So then the investigation goes to who started the rumor that Trump and Russia were colluding. And that's where Brennan and all these inside jobs at CIA and FBI, their hands are dirty because the story came from somewhere and it was all leaked to the media. And so they have to go find it. I say go find it. It doesn't mean it's a Loctite case and all done. It's the beginning of an investigation. And we see smoke and it looks like there's fire over there. So I say go look into it. And Kash Patel has nothing to worry about, and Dan Bongino have nothing to worry about from counter accusations from long discredited Democrat rags like NBC News and New York Times. What do you guys think? Will they find anything? Will Kash Patel be proven right about Chinese influence and that the Russia collusion was a giant hoax? I'm Doug in Exile.